Let's jump right into what I've been reporting on this week. A lot of people reaching out to me to try to put in context what's happened. Why was there a government shutdown of unprecedented length? What happened with the election results? What's happening with, we talked about last episode, the rise of Nick Fuentes and others. What is going on in this country? And you got to look at the basic building blocks of what we're seeing that undergirds not just the polarization, not just the feeling that the country's headed in the wrong direction, which is pervasive and has been for a while, but also the feelings of alienation amongst our young, not just men. We talked last week about young men, but young women as well. There's something off in this country right now. And understanding what's going on, why are people reacting so negatively? Why do we have all this conflict? It's super important to understand it. And so I think it's important for all of us to sometimes take a step back from being on our phones and scrolling through X and the latest headlines and news alerts and try to think a little bit more thoughtfully about what's happening. And as I said before, I'm blessed to have people in my life, some Republicans, some Democrats, some very political people, some people not all that interested in politics, who do that kind of deep thinking. And they're all over the country. I live in New York City, but I always say it's important for me to not think of myself as understanding the United States through the prism of New York, but through the whole country. And one heartening thing is the most thoughtful people I know pretty much agree on what they think the context is of this malaise, of this current sense of unease in the country, regardless of whether they like Donald Trump or not. And so what I'm going to lay out for you today is my kind of broad theory of the case from all the reporting I've done over the last couple months, really, but really intensely over this week, of what's wrong. What are we trying to solve here? How do we try to adapt to a changing situation? America's a young country, but the extraordinary change, a lot of it driven by technology of the last couple decades, 2 or 3 decades, massive. It's massive. And we got to understand it to try to solve it. So the first thing is the economic decline. The United States, used to dominate the world. We were a manufacturing country, big exporter, and unchallenged by others. And now not only competition with China, or Europe rather, but of course China. That economic decline, whether you're a man who's been laid off in your 50s or 60s, whether you're a woman who's trying to figure out how to get into the workplace, whether you're a young person with student loans and no prospect of buying a home, whoever you are, there are people in the economy, the elites, who are doing very well in this economy. We saw that in COVID. But the long-term economic decline, the long-term inability of particularly the current younger generations to see America as a land of limitless opportunity, it's a real problem. And that undergirds a lot of what we're seeing in terms of conflict, in terms of people's disillusionment, in terms of people's lack of full enthusiasm, excitement, confidence about America, the American dream, the American experience. So that economic decline, and there are lots of reasons for it, particularly the long-term decline of the manufacturing base in this country. It's a very big one. And that has led to and been fueled by distrust in institutions. We saw that again, the seeds go back, academics will tell you this, to Watergate and Vietnam, then the financial crisis, then COVID. But this distrust in big institutions, government, I'd say first and foremost, is pervasive in our society. And again, younger people in particular, distrust of traditional media, distrust of what I call the healthcare monster, all the insurance companies, the hospitals, the doctors, just distrust in our healthcare system. And the Affordable Care Act gave hope to some, but many others, it reinforced their view that our healthcare system doesn't work. And then big tech. Man, big tech is just it's a blessing and a curse. The benefits of the United States, we dominate big tech. China has some big companies too, but compared to the rest of the world, our big technology companies, hardware, software, internet, mobile, we're incredible. And yet at the same time, people are really angry at big tech. And there's all sorts of reasons to be: invasion of privacy, failure to protect our kids, and then the algorithm polluting the minds of everybody, but particularly the young people. It's that combination, right? Economic decline, where people don't feel their kids are going to have the same economic opportunity they do. People with horror stories about their trajectory, Not everybody. Some people in this country are doing great. They're blessed to be able to take advantage of the freedom we have here in the robust, dynamic market. But for the working class, the middle class, just a pervasive sense of decline. And then pair that with the distrust in institutions. Okay, that's not the way America was for a long period of time, particularly post World War II, where 1960 saw a bout of this, but of the distrust in institutions. But we were a robust economic power. Now, the most common development attributed to these two factors, economic decline and distrust in institutions, the rise of Donald Trump, directly connected. Now, Donald Trump would never have been able to get the Republican nomination or become president had it not been for those twin factors. And the distrust in institutions is something Trump has talked about and felt for such a long period of time. But it's also led to the rise of independent voices. Independent media, Megyn Kelly and others, understanding that if people aren't interested in big media, they want new media, they want independent media, but they want independent media voices who will challenge big government, challenge the Silicon Valley companies, challenge the healthcare system in a fundamental way. That rise of these independent forces is so important. Gives hope to so many people. But also, again, double-edged sword with all these things, which is it's balkanized us, it's divided us, it's put us in silos. Where you used to have, when there was only traditional media, and there was plenty of downsides to that, but you used to have a sense of togetherness, of everybody gathering around traditional media, everybody believing that the healthcare system was a good one, believing that big government was, flaws and all, was not something to just be totally distrustful of. It's all gone. And we have to deal with that reality. There's negatives to it being gone, but there are positives as well. And what we're seeing now, so many of the people I've talked to about these issues said, is we're at the crossroads with AI. AI is it's so powerful already, and we talk about it here on the program a lot because if you're someone using it in your work or using it in your life, if you're someone who in your job, wherever you work, part of your job is to understand the potential of AI. You're in it. You're thinking about it in a very thoughtful, day-to-day way, but also long-term. But for most of you, and for me, it's not integrated into everything right now. I'm using it as much as I can as an efficiency tool, but also because I want to understand the future, right? So here's the question to me about AI: is it going to empower the people? Or is it going to empower the powerful? Because right now, it's the trajectory we're on is empowering the powerful more than the people. And it's extremely unfortunate because the powerful are already powerful enough, right? They don't need help. But AI has the potential if the citizenry, even if it's not something your boss or your parents or your community are telling you to use, if you avail yourself of it, and it's out there, the best ones cost money, but they're very powerful ones that are free. If you want to be part of the future, you can be, and it can empower you. You can do stuff with AI yourself that it would take 100 people to do, as long as you learn how to use it. So the people can win with AI if the people understand it and take advantage of it. And it's going to take some benevolence on the part of some bosses and teachers and schools and parents, community leaders to teach people how to use it, that it is the future. Now, if that doesn't happen, and again, the current trajectory that we're on is much different, it will once again cause distrust in institutions. Once again, it will create economic hardship for people, and the rich will get richer, the income disparities will get bigger. That is truly the crossroads we're at. There are other factors besides AI, for sure, but it's the big one. It's the big one. I was a skeptic. I was never a skeptic of the internet. I had people in my life who said, we joke with my dad all the time when he said the Beatles became popular when he was a kid. He said, they're just a fad. No. And then when the internet started, I had a news executive I worked with, very smart guy, extremely successful, but he said the internet will be a fad. No. AI, I was skeptical, not that it wouldn't be a big part of the life of very sophisticated organizations like the social media companies or design of a submarine, but I was wrong. more and faster than I had anticipated just a couple months ago. AI is going to change everything. It really is. And it can change things to restore faith in institutions and make the economy work better for everybody, or not. And my biggest concern after talking to people this week who work with AI, very thoughtful people in politics, my biggest concern is that AI will do what the social media companies have done, which is exacerbate these problems rather than fix them. That's the biggest problem I think literally facing our society right now. How do we get to the point where the AI integration into our lives, into our personal lives, our professional lives as a consumer, how do we get to the point where that's fixing these problems, restoring faith in institutions, and allowing all people to thrive economically? And the optimists, the futurist optimists who paint a picture of the future where, in fact, that's exactly what happens, that empowers the people. I don't think that's the trajectory we're on. I'm extremely worried about it. And every one of us has to look for agency. Every one of us has to think about these old institutions can only be propped up so far. We're going to have media. We're going to have a healthcare system. We're going to have government. We're going to have social media. Those things are not going to be banned in our society or go away. And so, and they're going to be big, right? The healthcare system's going to be big. Government's going to be big. Media's going to be big. How do we use AI, and how do we, as a people, how do we force those institutions to change their conduct in a way that restores our faith in them and that allows our economy to flourish? Okay. Each of them has huge problems right now. The government shutdown. I mean, you talk about lack of faith in government. You saw President Trump's poll numbers go down around that. But, you know, I don't even need a poll to tell you because I've been traveling and talking to people. People are not going to have faith in government to do what's right. If the government had its longest shutdown of all time, if people saw their people in their community or themselves lose their jobs. The healthcare system now, this happened 2 or 3 times over the course of my career. People are so disgusted with the healthcare system. Plans, whether they have the Affordable Care Act or get coverage through work or some other way, cost too much, do too little. Super high premiums, ridiculous deductibles so high that it's really just a catastrophic plan. Everything's going to be expensive and out of pocket unless you have some catastrophic illness in your family where there'll be a little bit of support there after you hit the deductible. This is not what people expect from their healthcare system, and so there's a lack of faith there. Now, how's that going to change? Is Washington going to try to fix it? I can tell you this: the health insurance companies are not going to generously volunteer to fix it themselves. And then media. We talk about it here all the time. The rise of Barry Weiss, of Megyn Kelly. These are important moments to say there can be a different kind of media, for sure. And people need to have trust in that. But we need big institutions. And then these social media companies, these tech companies, they're at the heart of what I think the problem is. And I worry most of all about them using AI to improve their algorithms even more, to pollute our brains and our kids' brains, for them to use the AI even more to produce products that are dominant and where they have a monopoly. Things like Meta, things like Google. Very dangerous, very dangerous. And every individual has to fight for societal change, but most people, they're too busy to do that or don't have the, they're not part of the right organization to do that. But you can do it in your own life. You can do it in your own life. There's been, on the right in particular, more than on the left, but there's some on the left, this fight to build up parallel institutions, independent media, alternative social platforms. In banking, that's another area where people have rebelled against the establishment and the organizations. Everybody needs to think about what choices can you make in your own life as a consumer to try to empower yourself. And starts with the thing that almost everyone listening to this, I'd say literally everyone, has carried with them at all time, which is your phone, your smartphone, right? Most people are carrying around an iPhone, an Apple phone, or an Android device. And by doing that, you're giving up so much. You're giving up so much of what people are rebelling against, which is these institutions in Silicon Valley give you the impression you're being empowered. There's no device, I believe, ever invented the possible exception of the automobile, that has empowered people more than the smartphone. But it's enslaving us. And I'll tell you, I have been using a new phone. It's made by our sponsors. It's called the Up Phone. It comes from Unplugged. And I couldn't recommend it to you more. Psychologically, it's a huge relief to use it. It's a huge relief when you see what it does. When you see how you go from thinking you're being empowered by having this device to being empowered, where your privacy is protected. That's a huge psychological lift. I feel it every day. But it's also practically brilliant, because what it does is it gives you the very first alternative that anyone's created. It's an open source phone. It's actually designed to protect your rights instead of handing your data over to be harvested by these companies and ad companies every second of every day. Independent testing that's been done on the phone shows that it blocked every single tracker that on an iPhone or a Galaxy phone is going to send thousands of data points every day to third parties. Thousands, literally. And you can see it on the Up Phone. You can see how much data they're keeping from going out, because when you're browsing, when you're on these apps, it's just harvesting your data. Up Phone offers you a 30-day trial. You can return the phone very easily. If you want independent from these institutions, if you want to live a life where you're not giving your privacy away for other people's profit, this phone is a great place to start. Go right now to learn more at unplugged.com. See what this phone is all about. See how much of your privacy you can get back, so these institutions cannot dominate your life. Okay. I will say again how important it is to make choices like this, how important it is to get your freedom back. We're going to have to deal with big institutions. You don't want to spend your life fighting the insurance companies, fighting big government, being angry at media. All of us need to figure out, and consumerism is one of the best ways to do it. The market will respond. If the market says we don't want bad health care, if the market says we're not going to accept these big organizations that are stealing from us our privacy and our identities, we're not going to accept a government that's not responsive to the people. That's going to be the best way to fix it. But I got to be honest with you, the status quo is not great. The status quo is not great. The economy is still got a lot of long-term problems. The Trump administration is trying to figure it out. And there's positive signs there. And this is the best economy in the world, not just now, but our legal system, our education system, our entrepreneurial spirit, our natural resources, our great cities, rural areas. This is agriculture. This country, we can't be too gloom and doom, because there's so much great energy. But at the same time, we have to recognize that a lot of the tensions in our society, a lot of the hopelessness and fentanyl and suicide rates, a lot of that pertains to these two twin things that I started telling you about: the economy and all of this lack of trust in big institutions. We can't function as a society if everybody's orientation, or so many people's orientations, is negative towards our institutions, banks, houses of worship, all the corporate stuff, and big government and healthcare. We can't function like that. So we need to make it better. We need to use AI to make it better. And we need to, as individuals, as organizations, as political leaders, everybody in the media, we need to rebuild this country on our greatest traditions, with a recognition that strong economy, trusted institutions, always being skeptical, that's the American way, but not hatred and distrust and conspiracy theories aimed at every institution of any size. That's not sustainable. We need a new direction. And the best thing to do, again, empower yourself about AI. I'm telling you, think about it every day. It's a little overwhelming, but you got to think about it every day. If you want to be part of the future and part of restoring both economic opportunity and trust in our institutions in this country, be part of the AI revolution. I was a skeptic, but now I totally get it. It's absolutely, absolutely vital. You ever notice those creepy ads that pop up on your phone and seem to know exactly where you've been, what you've bought, even maybe what you've been talking about? You've probably asked yourself, is my phone monitoring me? The truth is, your smartphone is constantly collecting and leaking data without your knowledge and without your consent. Every day, your phone builds a detailed profile of your life, your location, your habits, your interests, even the people you communicate with. And that information is funneled into an invisible marketplace where it's tracked, analyzed, and sold off to the highest bidder. It's not just something that's annoying, it's invasive, and it's happening all the time. But now there's a new solution. The Up Phone by Unplugged because it's very different. It's designed to protect your privacy from the ground up. No hidden trackers, no data mining, just a secure, streamlined smartphone experience that puts you back in control. Whether you're texting, browsing, or using apps, the Up phone ensures your personal information stays personal. It's the phone for people who are done being watched. Ready to take back your digital privacy? Visit unplug.com/Mark and get $25 off a phone case with the purchase of a phone. Again, go to unplug.com/Mark, because your life, your data, it should be yours, not theirs. Plus, from Election Day through Veterans Day, Unplugged is honoring those who serve. All veterans and active duty military get $175 off any Up phone, and they're donating $50 from each purchase to support veterans charity Valor Mission Project. Learn more and order your Up phone today at unplug.com/Mark. Get this today.